Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Chaos Within podcast.
With extra chaos because we've had a really long break. Or maybe not so much. We're going to see where we go. We'll track it.
We needed to recharge our batteries.
Yep.
They were dead, and then, tariffs happened. So getting the right charger took a while because we had to get it imported. So, things happen.
Yep.
But today we are going to be talking about a couple things that's happened over the time period that we've been gone. And we're going to start with the Nintendo Switch 2.
Ooh. So we're starting heavy then.
Heavy and hard.
Hey, yep.
All right. So do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first? Does it matter?
Let's start with the big ticket item. Games costing $90. Let's talk about it.
So I have mixed feelings about this. One, because after doing a little bit of research, I realized the games have actually been far more expensive than this. And at some point, game prices went down, and now they're kind of climbing back up again. I think my beef with this whole scenario with the more expensive games is they're charging like a $10 difference between a digital and a physical version of the game. But the cartridge is literally just a key to download the game. So for me, that doesn't make sense. You're charging me $10 for just a cartridge. The game doesn't live on the cartridge. I still need internet to download said game. I feel like that's where you lost me big time. Do I want to pay $80 for games? No. Will I? Probably not, but my husband will. So here we are. We're going to end up with a Switch 2 in this house regardless. Probably going to get the bundle with Mario Kart World because that makes it just $50 versus $80. I'm having a hard time paying $80 for like Mario Kart GTA because you can get out of the car now in random places. So it's like a really, really like child-friendly version of Grand Theft Auto. I don't know. It's weird.
I'm in a weird place with it. I feel with all the outrage that initially happened, my thing is if you don't like it, then just don't buy it. Because if you don't buy it, then these companies will know, hey, this is not going to work. But because I know that at the end of the day, everybody's going to buy it, I don't really feel like there's a lot to complain about. I didn't expect Nintendo to be the one to be here first, but it's happening. Like you said, I think it's weird that it's $80 for digital and then $90 for physical, especially when the physical doesn't really have anything on it. I know there are some games now that kind of do that with if they're not releasing disc and they do it only digital, they charge $10 less. So that's the thing. I also think it's weird that Nintendo is charging full price for games that are on the original Switch. They're trying to do the same route that PlayStation is going. I think I read, if I remember correctly, which is if you own the game already, you pay $10 for the upgrade. But I just don't understand why we're still charging full price for games that have been out for a very long time.
That's Nintendo though. And you have to think about this from a lot of different viewpoints. Like if you've ever been to GameStop and you're buying used games, every other game, when it's used, there's normally a more significant difference. But when you get to those Nintendo games, they hold value for some reason. And it never gets any cheaper. It maybe $5 for used versus new, so it stops even making sense unless they don't have any new copies. That's just always been Nintendo. And I think that's probably part of why initially the conversations we had when this was first announced were vastly different than the conversation we're having now, which I find really interesting. My initial sticker shock to this whole thing was if a Sony game came out at $80 or an Xbox game came out at $80, at some point there's going to be a Black Friday sale that gets me down to at least $40. But with a Nintendo game, $80 on sale is just $70, $75. Nintendo games don't go on sale. So I think that's why it's a harder pill for most people to swallow that Nintendo's the one making that jump. Because we know they're never going to be on sale. They never go on sale. That's just... It doesn't matter how old the game is, the sales aren't ever going to be comparable to the ones for the other systems. And that's just reality.
And I think also, I know this is a conversation we had on the podcast many, many moons ago of how the right game coming out. Because even now, I was in that bandwagon if GTA 6 comes out and it ends up being $100. I might get it because I feel like Rockstar has, earned that with me. But now that Nintendo has, broached $90, I kind of sit here and I'm like, initially in the reaction, I was like, but Mario Kart $90, like, but then I'm like, this is the problem that we're going to run into.
Yep.
Like it takes one person to make the first step. Nintendo's already making a stance of we're going to be charging $90 for games going forward. It may not be all games, but some games are going to be $90. So it just takes that one company to do it, and then now who knows how long it's going to be before the next company does it. And that's kind of what I'm waiting to see. Are we going to set on that $90 is the new $70? Like, is that where we're going to be at going forward? Like, that's kind of what I'm waiting to see drop now. So
I'll be honest, a part of me is thinking that some of this drive to make games more expensive is kind of pushing people more towards, maybe I'll play the stuff that comes out on Game Pass, or I'll pay the money for Ubisoft Plus and get that, or whatever, so that they have access to more games. And it really brings about the question of, are we moving towards games as a subscription model versus owning games? And I think that this one for me resonates especially because for the first time I bought a digital version of Assassin's Creed. I've never bought a digital version of that game. I do intend on eventually having a hard copy of it because that's just for me as a collector. But I went ahead, paid the money. I did pay over $90 for it because I got the extra edition that has like all the DLC and stuff. But I don't feel weird about it. And I thought that I would be at that point, but I think PC gaming has kind of gotten me over the hump of I don't need to physically own a copy of everything so long as it works. But then do we ever own games again? Like, are we coming to the point where now we no longer own games? Are we coming to the point where if you don't have internet, you can't game? Like, where are we headed for gaming now at this point as things transition, especially with Nintendo literally just putting a game key on the cartridge? There's nothing else. Are we heading towards a point where we really truly no longer own our games?
That is a conversation that's being had in a lot of places. There was actually a recent court case with, I feel like it was Ubisoft, but I might be wrong.
High probability Ubisoft gets in trouble a lot.
It happened a while ago, so the argument that was being made is that we as consumers don't own games. We just own the license to be able to play the game. Yeah. So when they take games off, it had to be Ubisoft because it was that racing game, The Crew, that it was a part of. I think that's a Ubisoft game because they delisted the game and somebody was suing them because of it. And they are making the argument that at the end of the day, we don't own the games. Steam has actually put that in its policy in some games that we're not buying actually ownership of the game. We're just buying a pass to be able to play the game. Yeah. And it feels like that sucks because even they're trying to make that argument for even having disc-based games, which this is where we're heading in the world. So it kind of also feels like why prices is going up for something I don't even own.
Yeah,
and it's a weird place that we're in with that.
Yeah, I don't like it. It's a very, very bitter pill to swallow that you could be potentially paying up to $100 for something that you don't technically have lifelong access to. And then it really so I have a ton of retro systems that all still work with cartridges that if I wanted to, I can go pop the cartridge in and play it right now. It bothers me that we're looking at a future where even if you have the physical copy of the game, if you have the disc, there comes a point where you might not be able to play it anymore.
Mm-hmm. That's why I used to love the backwards compatibility aspect of games. Like I appreciate Xbox still does it, but it's just like even now with I enjoyed on the Switch presentation that they are including, I believe, in the Nintendo Online. I'm not sure what that service is called, but they're including GameCube games into that. So that for me as somebody who enjoyed the GameCube a lot was awesome, especially seeing Pokemon Coliseum front and center on the presentation. Even like Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess I think was there, Wind Waker, all those games. I was just so excited to see those. But it's like ever since we moved to just this all digital aspect, it's even like games get lazier with putting complete games out, fully functional games out. I feel like every PC release recently, not all of them, but a lot of the ones that we look forward to end up releasing and be so buggy at launch, especially on the PC side, which is crazy. So it's just, I wish that we found a happy medium with this. Like, if this is how it's going to be, can we at least get, can you make sure these games is fully polished? Can we have functional games that I don't have problems with when I buy them? So
yeah, and I think that there's a lot of studios that for any kind of upgrade or improvement, if you're wanting to add any kind of story, there's a dollar amount attached to it. I think now that you're playing Baldur's Gate 3, you probably can see like Larian Studios did something that was, I feel like, kind of like how CD Projekt Red dropped some things as they were fixing Cyberpunk, except for this was just a love letter to the fans. They've done all of these patches for Baldur's Gate 3, and none of them cost us anything. They added more subclasses, they did fixes, they added more endings, they added more dialogue and stories, free. Because of a love for the game and a love for the fans. And I feel like if more studios actively made and put out games in the ways that Larian did, we'd be in a better place. But realistically, it's just not going to happen.
The power of early access.
Yes. But not all studios use that to their advantage, though.
Mm-hmm.
Some use that as a way to exploit. And I think that the problem here is the bigger studios. Like, would you really go into a Ubisoft early access game? No. Because y'all should know better. You should have the money to do it. So, like, Larian can do that, yes. A lot of these indie developers can do that, but that's not available for everyone.
I mean, I consider it.
You're not even going to finish Assassin's Creed Shadows. Why are you even talking right now?
That's your fault. So
it's not, but okay.
It is.
So anyway,
we'll get there. But it's your fault then. It is. But aside from moving on past the $90 thing, overall the Switch 2 presentation, I did enjoy it. I did like the system. I mean, now here's the next thing: the price of the actual Switch. I actually don't have a problem with it. $450 was the price. I thought that was pretty reasonable for everything that I saw, and especially since even on dock it can do 4K stuff. I mean, I wasn't ever expecting the handheld itself to be more than 1080.
Yeah. Can you imagine how expensive that screen would be?
And then even it would have been larger. So
yeah.
But with the Joy-Cons, using it as a mouse, I thought that was a cool idea.
I didn't like that at all. I was like, listen, if like these are games that you should probably just play on your computer. Like,
I mean, but if you can't afford a computer, right? Like, yeah. I'm actually low-key excited to play the game, the basketball game where they were
they were in the wheelchairs?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, that actually looks fun, and the way it's controlled is using the Joy-Con as a mouse. So that was interesting to me. The amount of storage space that's being included in it, freaking awesome. Using the Switch, just as the couple times I use it, I thought it was awesome. The USB-C in the top and bottom was just like, it just made sense. So I feel like maybe I'm gonna get it at launch. There are a lot of games that
are you gonna play with it though? Or is it going to fit next to your PS5? And
that's the question. Because right now I mostly use my Switch as we play it together as a family. Because, like you said, Nintendo prices don't come down. So I'll be waiting for games to go on sale that never going to go on sale. So
I think the other problem though too is, are we even allowed to pre-order them yet? Because I know with the tariff situation, they were like, no, you can't. We can't pre-order it. So
as of right now, all I know is that it's on hold.
Indefinitely. Indefinitely sounds like a really hard, painful word for y'all ain't gonna get it, so get over it.
The launch date is still firm, but in terms of us being able to pre-order, I don't think that date has been announced, or they're still trying to figure that out with all these terms.
Yeah. Or if it's gonna come out, maybe it'll come out in the US at a later date, which I feel like is going to lead to a lot of people buying the versions from other countries, whatever they can get their hands on, because everybody likes to have it first. But
the scalpers is going to be happy.
Mm-hmm. So I guess we'll see. I mean, I feel like if it was going to launch that soon, they probably had the idea of shipping it to the US soon. So I think the timing of the tariffs probably screwed them up a little bit.
That's what it sounded like.
Yeah.
It sounded like I believe they had an idea of what the tariffs were going to be, but it was a lot more than what they initially expected, which threw everything out of whack.
Yeah, and then continued to escalate.
So that's where we stand. But now these tariffs have been pulled again, and who knows? So
yeah,
we're just in a fun place in the US of A. So as far as games, I was honestly surprised to see Cyberpunk there.
I was too, because I think initially my brain went to Cyberpunk looks beautiful on my computer. How's it going to look on a Switch? And I know for me personally, I don't feel like that's going to be a selling point for anyone to get the Switch 2. You might get Cyberpunk on there if you really, really want it handheld and you don't have like a Steam Deck. But realistically, the game is going to look significantly better literally anywhere else. The game is just too demanding.
For me, I feel like seeing the games that I saw there and then a couple of the ones that were announced afterwards, that is more so for me just like Switch saying, yeah, now we can do these things. Because that was always the thing with Nintendo in the past. Like, you know, they didn't have the AAA games. Like they had their own set of games, but they didn't really have the, you know, the major ones. So seeing like Cyberpunk on there, Elden Ring is supposed to appear there. I think Assassin's Creed might be appearing there.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's one thing to do something, it's something else entirely to do it well.
See, but there's also, I think, there's games that's meant to be mounted. Yeah. Right? It has to be in the dock for especially since we know it can perform at 4K, because Metroid looked beautiful.
Yeah.
And we saw that game before it was announced for Switch 2, and then they were showing it off for Switch 2, and it just looked amazing. I know it doesn't translate over stream, but knowing that, hey, everything is most of the things they announced function at 1080p 120, which is also kind of surprising because you know, the standard is usually 60, but for them to say, yeah, we're going 120 instead, I feel like it's just them showing off their what power it may have behind it. We'll have to see when it officially launches to see what games actually play like, but seeing all these games there is promising to me because I feel like there's going to be a lot more announcements of games even from PlayStation side and like Xbox side, because this seems to be the route the world is going of. They're going to put games on Nintendo now, especially like Xbox already broaching that topic with Phil Spencer a little while ago that he wanted to bring games to Switch. So it's going to be very interesting. I think one of the first games to Switch is supposed to be Forza Horizon. So that is going to be something to see.
I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens. And hopefully we can find a way to get to it before the launch day. Hopefully we can pre-order it. We'll just keep our fingers crossed for now and hope for the best.
I have a message for your husband. Just know when Street Fighter 6 comes to Switch, I'm beating you there too. That's all.
You couldn't even beat him anywhere else.
That's a different topic. Don't worry about it. Don't
what was it, 40-13?
Shh, we're not talking about that right now. Like, gosh, I just wanted to say something to him. Now you're doing too much. You're doing too much. So, moving on. In the actual life and times of us touching grass, we done things.
Oh yeah, mostly John. John's had a lot of new experiences.
Like
over
just
the
going
last
outside,
few
period.
weeks. Yeah, just going outside, being around people. But you had your first experience with D&D, which for anyone who doesn't know what that means, that's Dungeons and Dragons, y'all.
I actually have to pull up my notes. Hold on a second.
Oh, he has notes. That's very intense.
Because it's been a little while. I had to make
so
sure
let
I
me
kept this stuff.
So let me preface this with, so John actually came to Connecticut to visit me. I was actually hosting a booth at the Advancing Heroes Evening of Adventure event, which is an incredible event. It's a weekend of D&D one-shots, which are stories that you can do from start to finish all in one session. And all of the proceeds for all of this goes to funding scholarships for EMTs. So it's actually a really incredible organization. It's called the Advancing Heroes Fund in memory of Jeffrey Brillick, which I am great friends with Kathy Brillick, who is the wife of the now deceased Jeff. And John came down to join a lovely adventure, and he was actually at my husband's table. So go ahead.
So yes, he was our DM. My wife and two other friends. I can't remember their names, but I remember their character names. So My character ended up being level 4 warlock. I named him Harry Dresden. If anybody out there who watches this knows, Harry Dresden is a book series. The Dresden Files, that was the inspiration. He's a wizard, and that's why I was just like, you know what, let's go with this. My wife named her character Angelina Dwarf. I believe she was a cleric. We had a bard. His name was Bucky Near. That was a very interesting character. And then we also had Zarwin. I forgot, a drow, right? Got that right? Yes, no, maybe
He was a drow? What was he, though?
A thief.
A thief. Okay, so like a rogue?
Yes, a rogue. Okay. That's the word.
Right. Filling in gaps here.
Yes. So, sitting at the table, just Rick was good to us, and so were they. It was nice that we had everybody just like, yeah, we're new to it, and they treated us as we're new to it. They kind of just handheld us in the beginning and kind of let us take the lead. So when we initially sat down, we were going over character classes and just getting the explanation of how, the sheet worked, of explaining how characters work, what their abilities are, all that stuff. So we got introduced to everybody, but our story started with us in a tavern. We all met up in a tavern because we all received a pamphlet to an adventure, an opportunity to go on the seas and find treasures. So we were there to see, I can't remember her name, dang, lost it. We're here to see a fancy person. We'll call her that. It's going to come to me in the middle of this. Yeah. So we showed up, asked the bartender what's going on. First person to enter was
it Sister Mary?
Yeah, Sister Mary. There you go. Buccaneer was the first person to enter, and he kind of showed us in character. He actually lived it up, was in character, talking the talk, walking the walk, everything. So after that, I came in just like trying to blend in. Just don't talk to me. I'm be in my corner, go sit down, take my beer, just go observe the room for a little while. After that, my wife came in. She approached, asked questions, and then got led to Bucky, and he sat at the table with him. Then I overheard them talking about the pamphlet, so I sat down with them, started having a conversation with them, and then Zarwin came in, but he went to the darkest corner of the room, and he was just observing the room. So then Sister, I forgot the name, Mary. That quick. Dang, my brain. Sister Mary comes in, she introduces herself, does a whole bunch of crazy stuff, and yeah, we got on a boat. And that was the beginning of the adventure. We went to 2 different places in that adventure. We went to pretty much an island which had a bunch of cave systems. We got introduced to wild animals of sorts, and we did some battling, got to introduce to some zombies too. We stole a treasure chest, which was a very interesting discussion of if we were going to open the chest and take the ghost for ourselves or not. And then the second adventure was laid out to me that it was supposed to be impossible odds if we chose to fight. So we ended up doing the most sneakiest of sneak things to get to the chest that was on the second island, and also just understanding our abilities of, hey, Zarwin is a rogue. He can sneak around. He's a thief at the end of the day. Hey, I have abilities to make people invisible. So I can turn him invisible, let him go do everything he needs to do, find what we're looking for, and determine this. Then he found out where we are. Whole bunch of orcs, just a whole bunch of, I think 20 plus different orcs in the area at the time. Yeah. So then it became a conversation. Okay, so how do you want to handle this? What do we want to do? So they kind of let me and Alexis lead in saying, hey, what do we do this? They would give input here and there, just saying, hey, how about we do this instead? But overall, it became a success. One of the characters died because he jumped off the ship to get the treasure to the ship and died hitting the ship, but we revived him on the ship. Our 2 characters were killed off because it's a 2-day event and we were only there for 1 day. And the way our characters went off is because we saw something we shouldn't have with Sister Mary and found out that she had nefarious purposes, and we basically got turned into zombies, to keep it simple. So it was a very fun experience for the first D&D experience of my life. I felt like it opened up a lot of fun to me, to the point of that I went home and bought Baldur's Gate 3, game I'm actively playing right now. So that is Baldur's Gate 3 is my D&D itch right now, and I've been really enjoying playing that game. For anybody who has played it, that's all I got right now. Your turn.
My turn.
Yeah, you fill
in your blanks. Okay, so we did kind of hear about how the rest of the adventure ends. Turns out that Sister Mary was a sea hag. The rest of the party ends up finding it out later after making a deal with I forget what that's called, the Avatar of Death. That's what it is. And they were able to see through her disguise. She rolls up on the beach as herself with their 2 former party members in tow as husks. So they had them fight each other, and the rest of the crew ended up taking out the sea hag. And it was technically a happy ending. I mean, they became the 4 horsemen of death, but could be worse. Could be worse.
They could have been dead.
That's true. They could have been dead. I'm glad to hear that you had fun, though. I think for me, it's kind of a bummer since I work a table at these events. I don't get to play in any of them, but it's always fun to hear about everybody's stories and experiences and how they liked it. And now, John's playing a game that I tried to convince him to play before, but he kept saying no.
That's because you didn't try hard enough.
I win.
And like I was trying to say earlier, it's your fault because you got me interested in D&D, and I played it. I had to drop Assassin's Creed to play this, so you got to pick one. You either got to be happy that I'm playing Baldur's Gate, or you just gotta go with Assassin's Creed.
Or you could be a real gamer and do both.
Nah, it's okay. One really requires my attention. I gotta remember things, so
I guess, or you could just take notes. But
you're playing Assassin's Creed. Why would I take that from you? Come on.
I was going to do that anyway. I mean, I'm playing Assassin's Creed. I'm going to be playing Lost Records, the second half, which is Rage, and I'm also going to be playing South of Midnight. So, I don't know, learn to juggle.
There you go. You're the real gamer between us two. This is why we balance so well. Come on.
Okay.
I start games, so you guys don't have to.
Yeah. I don't think. Okay. Anyway, so as I said, anytime you hear me say John doesn't finish games. Anyway. We also had some adventures together. So after that D&D weekend, 2 weeks later, me and my family went to go hang out with John and his family where he lives in upstate New York. And we actually took a day trip in Niagara Falls too, which was really nice. So it was really fun. This was the first time he was really meeting my 2 older daughters. All the kids had a lot of fun. We ate a lot of really good food. We had cheesesteaks. We had buffalo wings. We had pizza. We had all sorts of stuff. And then the day in Niagara Falls was really beautiful. It ended up being a really nice day. We got to see the beauty of nature combined with a need for electricity, which is always interesting, but the kids really enjoyed it. We got to eat some really good food while we were there as well. Got the most ridiculous funnel cake of all time. It had a lot of stuff on it. It was really good. We went on the Niagara Skywheel. We just had, we just had 3 days of a lot of fun and togetherness and eating. There was a lot of eating.
Gained 4 pan sizes.
4 pan sizes. I don't think so, but and it started with me taking a nap and John getting whooped 40 times in Street Fighter 6. So, it ended up well.
I don't know what she's talking about. This never happened.
It was such a painful memory that he blocked it out, y'all.
She just said that she was taking a nap, so clearly she dreamed it.
Oh no. No, I woke up and I saw. I know what I'm talking about.
I don't think so, but whatever. I forgot what I was gonna ask you. My brain slipped. You distracted me. Man.
Oh, it's the painful memories. I get it.
I wasn't expecting you to bring it up again. Gosh. I can't even remember what I was gonna say. My brain, I'm getting old. I'm going to see now.
What was my highlight of the trip?
Yes, let's go with that. That's exactly what I was gonna say.
That wasn't at all what you were gonna say. I think for me it was probably our day in Niagara Falls, just because it was really beautiful weather and everybody was having fun and we were all experiencing all these cool stuff. We did we went to Clifton Hills, which is probably the weirdest place I've ever been, because it looks like a strip in Vegas, but it's we were there during the daytime, so it was like a carnival that never leaves. It was really interesting. But we went on a bunch of fun rides, and the kids had a lot of fun there too. We went to like probably the jankiest wax museum of all time, but we had fun there too. We're gonna have to like share all of the pictures of like some of the different scenes that we were in. But yeah, it was a good time.
That wax museum, because there's another wax museum on the other side, but when you pay for the pass that's there, you understand that it's the cheap attractions, but it's a lot to do. Can't complain about it. So I think there's the Ripley's believe it or not wax museum that's a little bit further up the hill.
There was also a Louis Tussauds too.
Yes. But that one was like, it wasn't terrible. It was still a fun experience.
Yeah.
I remember when I went the first time, it was just like, oh, okay, this is what it is. I ain't got no problem with this. It's like, I understand for what I paid for it.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
So, other than that, yeah, like you said, just had a lot of fun. I was recharging, touching grass. That's where we've been for the last couple of weeks. So.
It's busy. But yeah, so we're back. We're going to be getting back on our regular schedule because we missed you guys, oddly enough.
Oh yeah, we got a lot more stuff talking about. The Last of Us is just starting. Daredevil, at least as of today, just finished. So we're going to do an episode soon. Just talking about from where we left off the last time we talked about Daredevil. Just completing it all. Yeah. Anything else?
I think I'm in a good place. I feel like this was a good catch up. Just letting everyone know where we've been because we kind of just disappeared and didn't say anything. I know both of us haven't really been streaming as much either, but expect both of our streaming schedules to be a little bit more regular now. So if you're looking forward to seeing anything, we will be back at it. I'm going to be adding South of Midnight to my rotation as well. So I'm still going to be playing some Assassin's Creed. We'll have South of Midnight. We'll have some other fun stuff in there. And I do have an upcoming 12-hour community stream that I need to get a date out for. So keep an eye out for that.
Forgot about that.
Wow.
It's been a little while, so
yeah. But all right, everybody. So for me and John, I want to remind all of you to go ahead and embrace the chaos within. Put some chaos into the world. Why not? At this point, we might not even be able to pre-order a Switch 2, so be extra chaotic. Make it happen.
You heard what she said.
Bye, everybody.